Hey plant fam, welcome back to The Sprout. Today we are doing something a little different. Instead of talking about one plant, we are going to clear up one of the biggest confusions in the houseplant world. The three plants that look almost identical but are actually completely different. Philodendron, Pothos, and Scindapsus. These three trailing beauties are often sold under each other's names, and even experienced plant parents get them mixed up. They all have heart-shaped leaves, they all vine, and they all seem to thrive on neglect. But they are different genera. They come from different parts of the world. They have different leaf textures, different growth habits, and different care preferences. And once you know what to look for, you will never confuse them again. In this video, I will show you exactly how to tell them apart. We'll look at leaf shape, texture, growth habit, and even those tiny botanical details that most people miss. By the end, you'll be able to identify any mystery vine that comes your way. And more importantly, you'll know how to care for each one properly. Before we dive in, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We put out new plant care videos every week, and I don't want you to miss the next one. Also, drop a comment below. Which of these three do you have, or do you have all three? I would love to hear about it. Now, let's get into it. First, the big picture. All three of these plants belong to the same family, the Araceae, which is the arum family. This is the same family that includes monsteras, anthuriums, and even the peace lily. But within that family, they are different genera. Philodendron comes from Central and South America. Pothos, or Epipremnum, comes from the tropical Pacific Islands and Southeast Asia, and Scindapsus comes from Southeast Asia as well. So they developed on different continents, but ended up looking remarkably similar. It's a classic case of convergent evolution, different plants evolving similar traits because they occupied similar ecological niches. Now let's start with the easiest way to tell them apart: leaf texture. This is the one difference you can feel with your eyes closed. Pothos has thick, waxy, almost plastic-like leaves. They are sturdy, they hold their shape, and they feel smooth and glossy. Philodendron leaves are much thinner and softer. They feel more delicate, almost velvety to the touch. They are not waxy at all. Scindapsus, also known as satin pothos, is different again. The leaves are thicker than Philodendron, but not as thick as Pothos, and they have a unique, soft, velvety texture with a silvery sheen. This difference in texture is your first clue. If you can feel the leaf, you can identify the plant. Now let's look at leaf shape and pattern. At first glance, all three have heart-shaped leaves, but look closer. Pothos leaves are heart-shaped with a more distinct, pointed tip. The base of the leaf, where it meets the stem, is usually symmetrical. Philodendron leaves are also heart-shaped, but they are more rounded and softer. The new leaves often emerge from a papery sheath called a cataphyll, which Pothos does not have. Scindapsus leaves are the most distinctive. They are heart-shaped but slightly asymmetrical, often curving to one side at the tip, and they have that incredible silver variegation. The silver on Scindapsus is a type of blister variegation, where the upper layer of the leaf separates from the lower layer and creates an air pocket that reflects light. This is why it looks so silvery and shimmering. It's not pigment, it's an optical effect. Pothos also has variegation, but it is different. Golden Pothos has yellow or white splashes, Marble Queen has white marbling, and Neon is solid lime green. But it is regular pigment variegation, not that silvery, reflective look. Philodendron Brazil has yellow or lime green stripes down the center, and Philodendron mincans has iridescent velvety leaves that shift from green to bronze to purple depending on the light. But it's still not the same as Scindapsus silver. Now let's talk about the growing tip. This is one of the most reliable ways to distinguish a philodendron from the others. Philodendrons produce a papery, leaf-like sheath called a cataphyll at the tip of each new leaf. As the new leaf unfurls, it emerges from this sheath, which eventually dries up and falls off. Pothos and Scindapsus do not have cataphylls. They produce new leaves without that protective sheath. So if you see those papery bits around your plant's new growth, it is a philodendron. This is a dead giveaway. It's a trait that all philodendrons share, and it's one of the easiest ways to identify them. Now let's look at the petiole. The petiole is the stem that connects the leaf to the main vine. This is a subtle difference, but it is a clear one. Pothos has a petiole with a distinct groove or ridge down the center. It is almost like a tiny channel. If you run your finger along the petiole, you can feel this ridge. Philodendron petioles are completely smooth and rounded. They have no groove or ridge at all. Scindapsus petioles are also smooth, like philodendron. So if you see that ridge on the stem, you have a pothos. This is one of the most reliable physical markers, and it's easy to check. Now let's talk about growth habit. All three vine, but they vine differently. Philodendron is a true climber. In the wild, it climbs trees and its aerial roots attach to the bark. Indoors, it will climb a moss pole eagerly. Pothos is also a climber, and it climbs aggressively. In tropical areas, it can become invasive and cover large areas of vegetation. Scindapsus is also a climber, but it is much slower growing and more reluctant to climb. It will climb if given a moss pole, but it takes its time. It is much happier trailing from a hanging basket. So if you want a plant that will quickly cover a pole, go with Pothos. If you want a slower, more contained climber, try Scindapsus. Now let's talk about what happens when they climb. This is one of the most fascinating differences. Pothos leaves can get massive when the plant climbs. In the wild, they can grow leaves over 2 feet long. Philodendron leaves also get larger when climbing, but not as dramatically. Scindapsus leaves, on the other hand, can develop deep lobes when they climb in nature, but this almost never happens indoors. So if you want a plant with giant leaves, give your pothos something to climb. This is why mature golden pothos plants look completely different from their juvenile form. The leaves become larger, thicker, and can even develop fenestrations, yes, splits like a monstra. Now let's talk about care. This is where understanding the differences really pays off. Pothos is the most forgiving. It tolerates low light, irregular watering, and a range of conditions. It is the ultimate beginner plant. Philodendron is also easy, but it prefers slightly more consistent moisture and higher humidity than Pothos. It is a little more delicate. Scindapsus is the slowest grower of the three. It also needs higher humidity to thrive, and it does not like to be overwatered. It is not difficult, but it rewards patience. Let's break down the light requirements. All three do well in bright, indirect light, but Pothos can handle lower light conditions better than the other two. In low light, the variegation on Pothos may fade, but the plant will still survive. Philodendron also tolerates lower light, but it will grow slower and may become leggy. Scindapsus needs brighter light to maintain its silver variegation. In low light, the silver patches will fade and the leaves will become more green. For all three, avoid direct sunlight, which can scorch the leaves. Now let's talk about watering. Pothos is the most drought tolerant. It prefers to dry out between waterings, and it will forgive you if you forget to water it for a week or two. Philodendron likes to be kept slightly more moist. It doesn't want to dry out completely. Water when the top inch of soil feels dry. Scindapsus is somewhere in between. It doesn't want to be bone dry, but it also doesn't want to be soggy. Water when the top inch or two of soil feels dry. Overwatering is the biggest risk for all three, but especially for Scindapsus. Now let's talk about humidity. All three appreciate higher humidity, but they have different tolerances. Pothos tolerates average indoor humidity without complaint. Philodendron also tolerates average humidity, but will look better with a bit more. Scindapsus really benefits from higher humidity. If the air is too dry, the leaf edges may turn brown and crispy. A humidifier, pebble tray, or grouping plants together can help. Do not mist them heavily. Wet leaves can lead to fungal issues. Now let's talk about fertilizer. All three are light feeders. Use a balanced, water-soluble fertilizer diluted to half strength. Apply once a month during the spring and summer growing season. Do not fertilize in the fall and winter months when growth naturally slows down. Too much fertilizer can cause salt buildup and brown leaf tips, especially on Scindapsus. Now let's talk about the confusion. Why are these plants so often mixed up? The common names do not help. Pothos is sometimes called devil's ivy, but Scindapsus is often called satin tothos or silver pothos, even though it is not a pothos at all. Philodendron is sometimes called just heartleaf, which adds to the confusion. Some plants are even mislabeled at nurseries. I've seen Scindapsus sold as Philodendron silver and Pothos sold as Philodendron bolden, so it is no wonder people get them confused. The nursery industry uses common names that overlap and confuse. Now let's talk about common varieties. For Pothos, you have Golden Pothos, Marble Queen, Neon, Enjoy, Pearls and Jade, Mandula, Cebu Blue, and Global Green. For Philodendron, you have Heartleaf, Brazil, Mecans, and the more upright varieties like Birkin, Prince of Orange, and Congo Rojo. For Scindapsus, you have Scindapsus pictus argyraris, which is the classic satin pothos with small silver spots. You also have Exotica with larger, more extensive silver patches. Silvery Anne has heavy silver splashing, and Moonlight is a stunning variety with almost all silver leaves and a green stripe down the center. There's also Trebi with large silver blotches and Jade Satin, which has a darker green color with less silver. Now, let me give you a quick summary of how to tell them apart. You can use this cheat sheet. Check the leaf texture. Thick and waxy, Pothos. Thin and soft, Philodendron. Thick, soft, and velvety with a silvery sheen, Scindapsus. Check the new growth. Does it come from a papery sheath? Philodendron. No sheath? Pothos or Scindapsus. Check the petiole. Does it have a groove or ridge? Pothos. Smooth and rounded? Philodendron or Scindapsus. Check the variegation. Is it silver and reflective? Scindapsus. Is it yellow or white pigment? Pothos or Philodendron. Now let's talk about which one is right for you. If you are a beginner, start with Pothos. It is the most forgiving and will tolerate your mistakes. If you have a little more experience and want a soft, trailing plant, go with Philodendron. If you want something unique, beautiful, and silver, and you're willing to be patient, choose Scindapsus. All three are wonderful, and many people end up collecting all of them. Now let me give you a few quick answers to common questions. Which is the easiest for beginners? Pothos is the most forgiving. Which one is the slowest grower? Scindapsus is the slowest. Which one is best for hanging baskets? All three work well, but Pothos and Scindapsus trail beautifully. Which one is best for climbing a moss pole? Pothos is the most enthusiastic climber. Can I grow them together? Yes, they have similar care needs and can be planted together in a mixed hanging basket. Why are my Scindapsus leaves losing their silver? Not enough light. Move it to a brighter spot. Why are my Philodendron leaves turning yellow? Usually overwatering. Let the soil dry out more between waterings. Why is my Pothos not variegated? Not enough light, or it may have reverted to solid green. Give it more bright, indirect light. Let's wrap everything up. Pothos, Philodendron, and Scindapsus are three distinct plants with different origins and characteristics. Pothos has thick, waxy leaves, a grooved petiole, and is the easiest to grow. Philodendron has thinner, softer leaves, grows from a cataphyll, and prefers a bit more moisture. Scindapsus has velvety, silvery leaves, is the slowest grower, and needs a bit more patience. Here's the most important thing to remember. Do not worry if you have been mixing them up. It is incredibly common. The nursery industry uses common names that overlap and confuse. Even experienced plant parents get them mixed up. But once you know the differences, leaf texture, petiole, cataphyll, and growth habit, you will never confuse them again. And now you can show off your plant knowledge to your friends. Before you go, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and leave me a comment. Which of these 3 do you grow? Do you have all 3? I'd love to know. And if you have a mystery vine, describe it, and I will help you figure out what it is. Thanks for watching. Take care of your plants, and they will take care of you. See you in the next video.